What's on, people, and welcome to another episode of Ghetto Gospel. So where we left off at. Last week, we talked about Joseph being in prison and meeting two dudes who worked for the pharaoh. Them two dudes had two dreams, and Joseph told them the dreams meant one was gonna live and go back to his job, and one of them was gonna die. All he asked for in return was for the one who lived and got his job back to get him out of prison. But that man forgot all about Joseph once he was chilling again. And now we caught up. So boom. After Joseph told that man what his dream meant and had to watch it come true and see that man walk up out of prison, he still sat there for another 2 years. And he probably would have been up in there longer, but right around that time, Pharaoh had a dream. In his dream, he was standing beside the river and 7 thick, healthy-looking cows came up out the river and started chewing on the plants growing on the bank of the river. Then after that, 7 more cows came up out the river. And these ones was all bony and sick looking. And the sick cows ate up the healthy ones. And then Pharaoh woke up. And I guess that dream ain't have him too shook, because he went back to sleep and had another dream. And in this one, 7 plump, chunky heads of grain grew up out of one stalk. Then 7 more heads of grain grew up, and these ones was all thin and scrawny and scorched by the wind coming up out the east. And the same thing happened. The thin grains ate the thick, healthy ones, and then Pharaoh woke up. I'ma tell y'all now, I tried to use AI to show what this dream might look like, and I'ma say this, that man was probably shook when he woke up from that second dream. So in the morning, Pharaoh was running around all bothered because of the dream, so he called up all the magicians and all the wise men in Egypt, and no matter how many tarot cards or crystals they looked at, couldn't none of them tell him what the dream meant. They could have just lied, but I guess they ain't think to do that. This same kind of situation gonna come up later in the book, so just keep this one in mind. So when the cupbearer heard about it, he was like,
I'm tripping. I just remembered how I messed up. Remember when you got pissed off and had me and the baker locked up with the captain of the guard? Well, we both had dreams the same night, and both dreams meant something different. There was this young Hebrew up in there. The captain of the guard was keeping him for a slave. We told him our dreams, and he told us both what they meant. And what's crazy is, stuff turned out just like he said. You lifted me back up to my position and hung the baker.
So Pharaoh told them folks to go get that man, and they went and grabbed him up out of lockup and shaved him and changed his clothes and whatnot and threw him in front of Pharaoh. So Pharaoh was like,
I done had a dream, but can't nobody tell me what it means. But I done heard through the grapevine that you could hear a dream and tell folks what it means.
So then Joseph was like,
I can't do that, but God will give you the answer that you're looking for.
So then Pharaoh told him about the 2 dreams, the one with the cows eating the other cows and the one with the grains eating the other grains. And Joseph was like,
yeah, them 2 dreams mean the same thing. God done showed you what he about to do. Them 7 good cows, that's 7 good years. Same thing with the grains. And the 7 sick cows is 7 years of famine. Same with the grains. Like I said, God has showed you what he about to do. It's about to be 7 years of good living up in Egypt. Y'all gonna be growing food like crazy. But after that, it's gonna be 7 hard years. They gonna be so hard that ain't nobody gonna even much remember the good years. So things gonna get so bad. Since you done had that dream twice, that means God done already decided it. And it's gonna happen soon. Now if I was you, I'd find somebody who got their act together and put them in charge of Egypt. Tell them to take 20% of everything that grow and stash it. Then put it under your name in a bunch of different cities. So don't nobody touch it once the hard years roll in. Then Egypt will be straight once the the famine hit.
So Pharaoh thought that man was making too much sense. So he was like,
well, shoot, ain't nobody got God's spirit in them like you. We gonna put you in charge. God got you out here making sense like ain't nobody making sense. You gonna be over my house, and all my folks gonna do what you say. I'm gonna be the only person more powerful than you. Yeah, that mean I'm putting you over all of Egypt.
Then Pharaoh laced that boy. He gave him his signet ring that he used to sign stuff. He put him in some fresh gear, and he put a gold chain on his neck. Then he put him in a big long chariot, and had him ride right beside him. He even had folks that ride in front of him hollering about,
get up out the way.
Then he gave him an Egyptian name that basically means, y'all chill cause this man taking care of our stash. And on top of that, he set that man up with a wife. And if the king's setting you up with a wife, you know she gonna be decent. So when all that happened, Joseph was 30 years old. Yeah, that man had been a slave or a prisoner for 13 years. And as soon as Pharaoh put him on the job, he bounced to go travel around the lands and get folks cracking on the plan. And sure enough, everything he said was gonna happen was exactly what happened. For 7 years, everybody in the country balled out. And Joseph ended up stashing so much food that it got to the point where they couldn't even much keep count. So Joseph was doing the thing. And I guess he was also doing the thing. And that's how his wife ended up popping out 2 boys for him. He gave the first one a Hebrew name that meant, God that made me forget all the hard stuff and how trash my family was.
I
ain't lying. It's in there. And he named the other one a Hebrew name that meant God got me out here balling. And when the 7 good years started wrapping up and everybody was complaining to Pharaoh talking about,
we hungry,
he was like,
go see Joseph and do what he say.
And after that famine hit the whole country and then some, Joseph started selling grain to them folks. It started with just selling to Egypt, but they ended up just selling to whoever could afford to break bread. Next week, we gonna see just how bad this famine get and how desperate the people gonna get. But that's it for this week. If you don't know Jesus, but you're trying to get to know him, go and click that first link in the description down there. I'll see y'all next week, and as always, peace, and I hope y'all people straight.